Call of Duty Zombies is a franchise that for a long time has held a special place in my heart. Hell, I spent the night time of my 18th birthday staying up late waiting for the Cold War Zombies trailer to drop at 1 AM. Actually, I don't know if I should have admitted that, that's kind of sad.
Fire, look at this gaming! Look at this gaming!
Lex, it's my 18th birthday right now. I am going to be so fucking shit-faced when this trailer
Let's go, dude, let's go!
I've been a fan of this game mode for 8 years now, with my first ever time owning a zombies game being in 2014 with Black Ops 2. And there is one map that has captivated me ever since the first time I played it. And as the title suggests, that map is Origins. Now I will say, I don't think Origins is the best zombies map ever made. I think that title has to go to Shadows of Evil, with Origins coming in at second place. But there is just something about this map that has captivated me and keeps drawing me in like no other map ever could. Origins was the 4th zombies map I ever played, and I was introduced to this map before I was Mob of the Dead. So to me, this was the map that introduced me to the Jason Blundell style maps. Maps that are filled with complexity and a long setup. Feeling more like a quest or a journey rather than just a basic bare bones wave-based shooter the mode was before. With Origins, this complexity can be seen most obviously in both the 4 wonder weapons and the Easter egg. Origins continues the trend from Black Ops 2 of having the player build their wonder weapons rather than just pulling them from the box. And let me say, the 4 elemental staffs of Origins are without a doubt my favourite wonder weapons in terms of both gameplay and theme. For a while they also held the place of my favourite aesthetic for a wonder weapon, but they have since been beaten out by both the elemental bows, the vitrolic withering, and potentially the paralyzer. These staffs really are what make or break the map, and thankfully they serve as a fantastic addition to Origins. The decision by Treyarch to have the staffs be upgraded is what really adds a lot of depth to the map. But it's also completely optional. If a player doesn't want to use these staffs, they don't have to. They can completely ignore them. Unlike the setup in Mob of the Dead with the Pack-a-Punch where you have to do the big plane setup to progress with the map. This is, in my opinion, a really underrated important aspect of Origins. A lot of people praise the setup, and it is a really good setup, but having the ability to ignore the setup is really important. While having a long setup in a zombies map really helps to add to depth of the map, it can also sometimes hurt the replayability. Having to constantly restart a map like Shadows of Evil, or Mob of the Dead, or Zetsubou no Shima that has a really hard, long setup process is something that can drain a player. And Origins thankfully gives the player the opportunity of either choosing to do this setup or completely ignoring it. Each staff has its own strengths and weaknesses. For example, the Ultimate Lightning Staff has a ton of ammo, but it has a terrible charge shot. Whereas on the flip side, the Ultimate Wind Staff has a tiny amount of ammo, but an incredible charge shot. While at the end of the day, all of the staff's attacks are relatively similar, they're all different enough to feel distinct from each other when being used by the player. Out of all of them, the 2 that are the most similar in my opinion would have to be the Ultimate Ice and Wind Staff. Considering both of their charge shots are a spiral effect that kills all zombies nearby, and their regular shots are a burst of either frost or wind that kills zombies directly in front of them. Regardless, the fact that the staffs do feel different enough from each other is an extremely important factor towards what made Origins loved by so many. My favourite staff has always been the Ultimate Ice Staff, but growing up, one of my best friends in school had the Ultimate Lightning Staff as his favourite. This feature of having 4 wonder weapons in one map, enough for each player to have one, is in my opinion the single biggest contributing factor as to why so many people love this map. At the time of release, no other map had done this 4 wonder weapon approach. Players were always forced to either argue with their friends or spam as many box hits as possible in an attempt to get the wonder weapon for themselves. Being able to play alongside your friends with everyone having a wonder weapon was an extremely fun and unique gameplay loop at the time, and still holds up to this day. Proof of this is the amount of maps after Origins that take this 4 wonder weapon approach, with these maps being Der Eisendrache, Alpha Omega, and Ancient Evil. The upgrade process for the different staffs is something that I've never personally had any issue with. None of the steps are super hard or tedious, so to me it's always just been relatively harmless extra steps that add a little bit more complexity to the map. I think this is a good thing for Origins, as it kind of creates this feeling of there being an added goal to your game, rather than just the usual turn on power / unlock Pack-a-Punch that most previous maps at the time had as their main gameplay loop. Admittedly, I will say the fact that 99% of players need to open Google and find a diagram explaining the different symbol steps that all staffs have is a bit of a problem. I personally never found myself bothered by this too much, but it is a little bit weird that you have to stop playing the game, pause it, go open Google. I can understand how that it would annoy some players. The other main feature that I believe really sets Origins apart as one of the greatest maps of all time is the Easter egg. Now personally, I'm not really an Easter egg guy. To date, I've only ever completed 8 Easter eggs. These being Call of the Dead, The Giant, Der Eisendrache, Zetsubou no Shima, Moon, Die Maschine, Firebase Sea, and Origins. And with the 2 Cold War maps that I mentioned, I was essentially carried through them by a friend that was actually interested in pursuing and completing them, and I just kind of tagged along. However, the Origins Easter egg is, in my opinion, one of, if not the best zombies Easter eggs ever created. The only real proof I feel I need to back up this statement is to guide your eyes towards a speedrunning community for this egg. The Origins Easter egg is without a doubt one of, if not the most popular Easter egg for people to speedrun. The completion times for that map are consistently getting faster and faster, with each time being a feat that blows away members of the larger zombies community, as each time it is presumed that there can't possibly be a faster or luckier run to happen. But the sheer dedication from these speedrunners leads to them constantly finding either brand new strategies or perfecting old ones to improve their times. It is a truly fascinating thing to watch. For the most part, I think the steps of the Origins Easter eggs are pretty fun. The upgrading of the 4 stars being such a big part of the egg is something that feels very natural to me. Killing all the panzers that spawn after you lower the Maxis drone is very fun. The big soul box step at the end when you don't have access to your starves is fun and at times can actually prove to be very challenging. And the smaller soul boxes themselves are a pretty basic step, but they still give a very cool reward. The retrieval of the Maxis drone as well is a fun enough step. The only steps that I would say I actively dislike are the RNG steps, mainly getting the middle robot for the rain fire step since you can skip the placing of the starves and the robot's head on Black Ops 2. I've never really been a fan of RNG and Easter eggs, and the time spent just running around waiting to get the right luck is something that does heavily detract from the enjoyment of the Easter egg for me personally. However, this single RNG step is not enough of a problem to ruin my enjoyment of the Easter egg. At the end of the day, it's not like it's a super hard step, more so just a little bit tedious. Sometimes a lot tedious, again, it depends on how lucky you get. But again, I consider the rest of the egg to be so good that overall, I would still consider this to be a great Easter egg. Visually, however, I will say Origins is a relatively bland map. Most of the land and structures around you are either blue or grey, with very little else in between. This can sometimes lead to the map feeling a little bit visually boring. And if not for the fact that the map was split up into various different areas with different structures, could lead to everything feeling the same. These different areas being things such as the generators, the mound, the area beneath the mound, the church, and the tank pathways. All of this is made up for, however, by the specific stylization of zombies as a game mode. If zombies was a mode that strived for nothing but realism, then yes, this map would be extremely boring to look at. But zombies does not care about realism at all. This allows us to be presented with so many weird sci-fi concepts. Things like the crazy skybox, the pack-punch camo, the various perks, the ray guns, the starves, the panzers, the blue glowing-eyed zombies, the generators, the giant robots, the Templar zombies, the Maxis drone, and most notably, the crazy place. All of these elements serve to give Origins a truly fantastical feel to it. The only problem that I believe Origins as a map has is its lack of any good fast travel system. With a map as big as Origins, the player is forced to do a lot of walking. This is something that is amplified by how much setup there is to do on the map. This leads to a lot of running backwards and forwards, and the mud present in the map certainly doesn't help this problem. In my opinion, the simple solution to this would be to have the 4 portals spread across the map stay permanently open after the first time the player places down the gramophone, and having the crazy place act as a central hub for fast traveling around the map, allowing for the player to pop up at either generator 1, 4, 5, or 6 extremely easily, and thereby helping to aid the player in the journey across the map, hopefully preventing the feeling of running back and forth between locations being too tedious. Origins is also yet another map that allows the player to obtain more than just 4 perks. However, unlike previous entries in the COD Zombies series that allow this, Origins is the first map that allows the player to choose the specific perk they want. This is because Origins changes how the reward is given. Instead of giving the player a random perk, the player is awarded with an additional perk slot instead, allowing the player to go on and choose which perk they want to fill this slot. This change had the effect of creating an iconic challenge within the Zombies community, this being the Rainbow Perk Challenge. The Rainbow Perk Challenge was created by the Smith Plays in 2013, and has become one of, if not the most popular challenge that zombie players give themselves for fun. Just one Google online with the Rainbow Perk Challenge for zombies and you will find hundreds and hundreds of videos of different YouTubers or players giving themselves this challenge for fun. Some even go as far as to give themselves the reverse Rainbow Perk Challenge, which really is a hard task to complete. Origins also introduced us to the Primus crew, and in my opinion, these 4 characters really are the superior group compared to any other set of playable characters that feature in zombies. Unlike their more comedy-based Ultimus predecessors, the Primus crew really bring a serious tone to the zombie maps that they are featured in. While the Ultimus crew do have some funny lines, I personally find hearing their quips more than a few times to be extremely annoying. Ultimus Tank Dempsey has got to be without a doubt one of the most annoying characters in all of zombies in my opinion. There are only so many repeated quips one can hear before going insane. And in a game mode like zombies, whereas you get better and better, the games can last for multiple hours easily, you will definitely be hearing these quips a lot. As said previously, as a stark contrast to the Ultimus crew, the Primus crew bring a serious vibe to everything they do. The maps they feature in feel more like a mission rather than just an attempt at survival from the characters. And given how the zombie storyline takes a more important role in the game mode once these characters are introduced, with Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 being more story focused than the earlier games, this feeling of seriousness and higher stakes these cast of characters bring with them really does suit these games perfectly in my opinion. While I don't consider Origins to be a flawless map, I do think it is one of the closest to reaching this impossible perfection standard. In my opinion, there can never really be a perfect zombies map. Every single map will always have problems to some extent. Zombies is a flawed game mode. No matter how good a map may be, I don't think any will be able to overcome the problem of the player completing the map's setup and then continuing to kill wave after wave of zombies, and then just getting bored and quitting the game. This simple gameplay loop is, in my opinion, what makes zombies such a hard game mode to make. There is a reason why no one really likes any of the non-Treyarch zombie game modes. Even Treyarch themselves has shown in the recent years that they themselves can falter when making maps. The zombie game mode really is a hard game mode to create, and in my opinion, Origins is one of the shining pillars of excellence that the game mode and the employees at Treyarch have been responsible for creating. And personally, to this day, it stands firmly as my favourite Call of Duty Zombies map.